Okay, we're good to go.
All right. Okay, I'd like to welcome everyone to the October meeting for the Library Board of Trustees. And I will take quick attendance. Shauna.
Yeah.
Kim.
Here.
Brad. I'm here, I think. Yeah. Oh, Jandy, are you here?
Yes. Here.
Yes, and Teresa is excused today. She has another thing she has to take care of. So we do have a quorum. So it is a good meeting. So I don't think I've missed anyone that I'm supposed to ask. Okay. So having said that, before we go any further, I'd like to ask if there's anybody that has any amendments, adjustments to the agenda.
No.
You all
I
good?
think we're good.
Okay. All right. So then we'll move on to the approval of last meeting's minutes. Anybody have any adjustments to that, or I'll take a motion for approving those minutes?
I move to approve the minutes. Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 If
Okay.
you second it,
Then
you
it,
have to.
we're all good. They are good. Okay. So, welcome to our lone citizens sitting in the audience today. Welcome. Could you please remind me your name? Because I forgot, we met and I feel bad that I don't remember your name.
I'm terrible with names as well. Mark Sullivan.
Mark Sullivan. Thank you, Mark, for being here today. I'll try to remember that. Well, no, I'll write it down because I won't remember. Is Sullivan spelled just like it sounds?
Yep, just like the road.
Okay, thank you. All right, so welcome. And so at this time, we'll ask for any citizen comments. And Jandy, do we have anyone online? Okay.
If you would like to make a citizen comment, you can fill out a paper at the front when you first came into the building, or you can also send me a message on Zoom. You have 3 minutes to speak, and we'll get back with you if we need to follow up with you on anything.
Good. Do we have someone online who wants to comment?
No, we don't have any comments so far.
Okay, thank you. All right. So then we are now on to our reports for this month. Okay, Mark, you are on first.
All right, thank you.
Our city administrator, by the way, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. So very quickly, and Jandy will get into more detail, I'm sure, but this a week from yesterday, this coming Tuesday, October 15th, we're going to have the action item on council's agenda to consider the proposed project budget and funding strategy for the library design and construction project. And so, as you all know, we've gone through multiple rounds of workshops and other discussions to try to kind of talk through all of the issues and bring forward a funding strategy that's sensible and achieves all of the objectives that council has seemed to lay out. And so we believe that we have a viable project with a funding strategy. And so that's what's going to be on the agenda for the 15th. Beyond that, Jenny may mention more of the details of that in her report. Pivoting topics, we published yesterday, I believe it was, the 2024 Community Satisfaction Survey Report, which is all of the findings from the 2024 Community Satisfaction Survey. And so that report now is available on our website. David, I believe, published an announcement on their social media pages. So if you want to connect to it through that, that's probably the easiest way to get there. And so you can see all of the responses that we received from the community on the variety of different topics that are all intended or designed to give us feedback on our performance against our strategic plan. And so just as a point of reiteration, this is planned to be an annual survey, so we'll kick it off again in January of 2025. And go through the same process again, but, I would encourage everybody to go out and take a look at it. It's got some interesting data in there. And that concludes my report.
Yeah, thank you. Jandy, will I be stepping on your report if I ask Mark, to give us more details about what the funding, or will you have that in your report?
You're
What the funding, proposal strategy is for the,
No, I would love if Mark could speak to that.
Mark, would you mind doing that?
Sure, so,
Thank you.
so based on some of the conversations that we've had with council in the various workshops, we winnowed down, basically a cash funded project. And this is no different than, I believe, the workshop on the first, where we provided the, schedule of historical revenues and forecasted revenues to demonstrate the fact that we believe that even using cash funding, and part of that would come from the general fund and part of that would come from the real estate excise tax #1 fund, and some of it from a variety of other sources, much smaller amounts, would certainly lower our cash reserve, by that amount, but it would not put us in a position where we were outside of best practice for having reserves to fund operations for some period of time. And typically the best practice is 3 to 6 months. And so even drawing down our cash balances for that amount, that would be required to fund the project, we would still be within that window of best practice. So staff is not concerned about that. Obviously, if you take, $5.7 million out of your fund balance, you don't have that $5.7 million to spend on other things. But this project has been contemplated for years. It's been programmed and budgeted in this year's CFP, and so we feel confident in that recommendation. Whether council votes to approve that, we'll see on the 15th. But we feel confident in that recommendation and the basis behind it.
What happens if council doesn't approve funds?
It depends on the other pieces of the conversation. So it could be that they don't approve using cash reserves, but want us to consider other options and bring back another recommendation. That could be an outcome. It could be that, I guess, going back and starting, it could be a flat out, no, we're not moving forward. And then beyond that, that's the worst case scenario, say. It could be a reconsider this and bring us some additional options that include other kinds of financing, which the reason we haven't done that thus far is because the conversations that we've had have indicated that we don't have enough votes to include financing. And when I say financing, I mean debt finance. Or some combination of those things. It could include delaying the project. It could include going to the voters to issue debt, voter approved debt. It could include all number of possible other alternatives, but none of those are our recommendation.
So the council could, at this point, after purchasing the building, totally scrap the whole project and not fund it, and the new library would be.
That is within the realm of possible outcomes. I don't see that being the outcome, but it's within the realm of possible outcomes.
Mark, the funding thing that you're suggesting, I was at the first meeting. It seems like that's basically what was proposed in that very first meeting, that same funding process or option.
That's correct, yes.
And there was, I won't call it pushback, but there were concerns about that. So then I know the group that is working on this, the staff and the members of that group that put this all together for the council, they were asked to come back at the last meeting. I haven't had a chance to look at that meeting. It's, the video portion of it is not up on the, at least the last time I looked, which was a couple of days ago. So I wanted to look at that and see, how that had transpired. But, so I'm not clear, I guess, on, in that funding that you suggested, and I'm not criticizing, I'm asking, is that addressing any of the concerns that the council has, about the funding and where the funding's coming from? Because I'm not sure, I guess I'm confused, about what they want, and if our group, when I say our group, the group that's been working on putting this all together, has provided, the options that they're looking for, I guess.
So our sources of options are limited, and what I mean by that is, we essentially have, call it 4 options, 4 levers to pull. We can identify alternative revenue sources, and so some examples of that are, we secured at least a recommendation for grant funding of $937,000. So that's $937,000 that doesn't have to come out of our cash account. We are working on securing private donations, and, I don't know the extent to which we can expect that number to be, but we've already gotten some positive feedback from the community on the donation side, so we think that'll be something. So that's one of those levers. Another lever is to use some kind of financing instrument, and kind of as we have already discussed here, that seems not to be something that would be favorably looked upon by the council. We can reduce cost, and we talked about that one of the requests was to tell us what a $3-ish million project would look like. And so we did that at the last council meeting, and that would be a drastically different project, and one that I don't think anybody affiliated with the library would recommend that we move forward with. And then the other option is kind of shuffling around the sources of dollars that come from different funding sources that are currently in our reserve, in combination with potentially changing the capacity in our future capital facilities plan. What I mean by that is, and this gets a little bit technical, and I'm not trying to be technical, but when you look out beyond the current year, none of those funds exist. Those projects are not funded, but they constitute capacity. And so if the concern is, how are we going to do this and all this other stuff? One of the strategies is taking that other stuff off the table to reevaluate it in light of the ongoing facilities master plan effort. And so we've chosen to do that. What I mean by that is, we've taken certain projects that are listed in the capital facilities plan, and we've taken the dollar amounts down to 0, because we don't know what those project values are going to be. The numbers that are in there are not made up, but they're placeholders, they're best guesses. And so what we've chosen to do is to say, until we have the master facilities plan complete with precise numbers, we're going to free up that capacity. And so the combination of those 4 things could help to move some decision-making. But until we get to the 15th, we're not going to know. There is no like secret cash, we've not gone to the basement milk jar to get the cash that we've saved up, right? There is none of that. And so those are essentially the four places where we can pull levers in different ways to get a project that is most viable.
Thanks for trying to explain that, Rick. I appreciate it. Anybody have
Yeah.
questions?
Yeah, when the building was purchased and the project was started, did the city already have a plan of where they were going to get the funds? How they were going to pay for the project?
So the
Like, I know it's not allocated until that year comes
So
up.
I don't know if that was done when the building was purchased, because that was the actual vote to approve the purchase and sale agreement happened, I want to say it was like my second day
Yeah,
here.
yeah, it was really.
So that happened while I was here, but the planning for that occurred before I got here. And so I don't think it occurred during that time frame. But certainly in this, the current capital facilities plan, the project is budgeted. And so however, the budget is not adequate to cover the proposed cost. And so where we did not do enough due diligence in developing the CFP was in accurately estimating the project cost. And so I believe it's $2.4 million or something like that that's budgeted. And so the project is a $5.7 million project. And so the only way to close those gaps are to reduce costs, find financing, identify other sources, or free up capacity.
So is it that difference that is under discussion now, or is it the total over 5 million budget?
It's the total amount, but because the 2.4, whatever is currently budgeted, is currently identified as coming out of the general fund and the real estate excise tax fund number one. But it's definitely the delta that is now causing the question, right? How do we cover that? Because we were not
That wasn't budgeted.
expecting that number, yes.
Okay.
And that kind of led into the whole conversation, if you remember, when we were putting forward the contract to hire the project manager was, well, I would feel more comfortable doing that if I knew what the budget was, and it was like, we can't
We don't know
tell you what the
budget
budget is until we get a
just-
professional to come in and do it, yeah, so it's kind of the chicken and egg.
Right.
But we feel, and Jenny and I talked about this quite a bit. We feel, and we talked about this at the workshop. We had discussions as a team, and Kim was part of these discussions as well, and can shed some light. We didn't feel it was a good strategy to bring non-viable projects to the city council to consider for two reasons. One, that why do that? And number two, we would have to spend money to develop those options. And so we just chose not to do that. We considered the two that we brought to be viable projects.
Well, and the 2.4 originally was just to get it up to code, get the building up to
Right.
code.
Yeah.
And Jonathan said it would still be cheaper than starting from the ground up and building a new building. And when Jonathan's the project manager, and when he brought that $3 million, you know, just a plan it wasn't a written plan, he just said, well, because one of the council members had asked for, you know, to see different levels. And so Jonathan came and he said, you know, to just get it up to code and put in a checkout kiosk is $3 million at this point. And so,
Obviously, that's not a viable option. and
not
that's worse than
viable at
what we
all.
get.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
worse than what we, you know, Jenny would rather stay in the building that we're in now.
Yeah.
So, because that doesn't include any study rooms or meeting rooms or, you know.
It was just a kiosk and bathrooms.
Yeah.
That's it.
You know, so
I
the grant is supposedly gonna be approved by June, is that?
So, yeah, so the grant timing is associated with the legislature's approval of the
Right.
budget. And so we have no concern that the budget won't be approved with that dollar amount in there. We just have to wait for that to occur.
And so the council members were not comfortable with the fact that that money's not in the bank right now. That was one of the things that they brought up a couple of times, that we're on the list to be approved for that grant, but the legislature has to approve it. So they weren't comfortable with that, and, you know,
So, Mark or Jandy, question, I think I know the answer, just want to clarify. There is a fine, the grant, the use of the grant money expires, correct?
It
Has
does,
an expiration date.
it does, which is June 30th of 2027, so we're not concerned about the timeline of the grant.
Well, it becomes an issue if we delay.
Yes, if
That's
we
what I'm
delay,
saying. I mean, if we delay, it becomes an issue.
yes. Potential, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So any other questions for Mark? Mark, thanks for taking all the questions.
Sure.
None? Okay, thank you. All right, so we're on to Friends of the Library. And, that would be me,
Cause I was out of town again.
because you were out of town. And I don't have much to report, except that they have a couple things coming up. There's a, Halloween party at the end of the month, that they'll be helping with the library. The library puts on, every year. They had a very successful fall, or no, they're getting ready for their fall, book sale, which will be in November, just before Thanksgiving, the weekend before Thanksgiving. They are working on, their nominations for new officers, which will be proposed here at the next meeting and at the end of October. And so they've been very active, collected another big donation of books.
Brad and his truck made
My truck,
so many
yeah.
trips to the South Hill guys, so many.
Quite a few 3,000 book donation, which is that's a pretty significant donation, so
Yes.
very nice.
Wow.
And so I'm sure many of those books will be, of interest to people when they come to the book sale. So very active, they're doing the same, preparing for the activities that come in the fall. So, anyway, that's the Prince. All right, and then we are on to Donna and City Council.
So I wasn't able to attend, I was out of town, and then Jandy were at the meetings, and I think.
I feel like Mark's pretty
I
much
think-
covered it.
Yeah, everything that pertained to the library was really about that funding. And so I'm not aware of any other issues that came up in.
Nothing that I think is library
No,
related.
no.
Yeah, I think that was all stuff that was library related. I'd like to just say that if, I would hope that the council, makes a decision to move forward on October 15th and not delay, because I think it would be, well, I don't think it would be a good idea to allow the efforts of our library staff, who have applied for that grant, to let that possibly expire, if we have to delay our project for any length of time. And, so I hope they move forward and we can have that,
Yeah,
going forward.
what is, I'm curious, like, the only other community service sort of thing, not really business, but the city runs the golf course. What is usage of the golf course? Do you know?
What do you mean by usage?
Well, we know how many patrons come to the library.
Like rounds?
Yeah,
We do know that number. I don't know, that I can recite it off the top of my head. But yes, we have that data.
yeah, I mean, and people pay to use that resource, so it's not a community service like a library is. I'm not comparing the two to that degree, but like this, I think, is the largest community. It's not an event, but community service, probably solidly that the city provides to this community.
There's no doubt
There's-
that, yeah, it
I mean, there's
provides,
police also, and there's, there's a lot of other, but I don't know as far as what the community uses.
right, say from a cultural educational standpoint, the library is standing alone, here in terms of that provision to the community. I think it's safe to say, yeah.
Well, in that 2019 report, do I recall correctly that they talked about how for a library our size, the community is very
It's just not-
invested.
Yeah,
And it was too small back then, and our circulation numbers keep going up and up, and,
Correct,
yeah, 5 years ago it was too small. We've only increased use.
right.
But
Yeah, I think it also said something about, for a library of our size and our population, we provide more services
Yeah.
than other libraries of our size as well. That our event attendance is much higher than other libraries.
Yeah, the community assessment actually says that compared to other cities our size, our library provides, the activity portion of it and the programming is much greater than most cities our size in the state. So that's pretty significant.
I just,
In attendance,
Yeah.
that's important too, not just offering it, but the attendance is up there as well, which it also noted in the community
Yeah.
assessment.
the line in question was just, I think it would be a shame that the city council didn't continue to.
So I forgot to mention with the Friends of the Library, before I move on, Jandy, and then I'll
Yeah.
turn it over to you, that they also have put together a presentation about what the Friends provide for the library, what they can and can't do. So they've been going around to different organizations. And I don't know if they're gonna be, I think they're on for the 15th, I'm not quite sure, Mark might know the answer. But they're gonna give a presentation about the Friends of the Library to the council at one of the meetings. I'm not sure if it's this one or the next one.
I don't remember seeing it on our agenda review yesterday.
Okay, so it must be coming
Must
down,
be upcoming.
coming down.
Yeah, I know they presented this morning to Kiwanis.
Right, yeah, okay. So having said that, Jenny, you're on.
Hold on one second, I want to answer Sean's question.
Oh,
In
I'm sorry.
2023 In
You found
2023,
it.
yeah, in 2023, we had 31,100 rounds at Trailhead. That's in a year. So,
Thanks.
Yeah, and of course, we don't know, I think Jandy would probably know the answer, but I got a lot of those rounds are probably people that are not really citizens of the city. Where they don't know, I think a lot of them come from outside the city.
I don't think we track
Yeah,
whether they're residents.
and yeah, I don't know how you could do that.
They don't ask me.
Yeah, no, but Jandy can with libraries and with the library cards and the
Yes, we do have it
zip code,
broken down
you
by,
have a pretty good idea of how many citizens of the city are using the library compared to county residents.
yes,
Yeah.
it's 3/4 to 1/4.
Okay, so now you're on, Jandy.
Okay, so, for my report, update as of this morning, we have our self-check unit demo. It showed up yesterday. Evan from IT got it installed this morning. So we're gonna be testing it out for the next 2 weeks. It's an all-in-one self-check system. It's like a big rectangle, so it's tall and skinny. But it's a touchscreen for patrons to use. They can use it to check out their books. They can do other things on it as well. So Envisionware is letting us test it for the next 2 weeks, see if we like it. If we do, then it's something we would move forward with and purchase, in next year. So I'm just excited that we can test it because it's something, if we use it, if we buy it, we're gonna be using it every day. So this way we can get feedback from staff on what they like, don't like, as well as patrons. Especially since our self-check unit is right by the front desk. We're able to watch those interactions and see if somebody's getting frustrated with something.
Would I need a tutorial to use that to check stuff out?
No, I feel like if you,
Good.
yeah, the main things we have to show people,
And Brad uses it.
That's the key.
the main thing we have to point out is you know, when you go to Walmart or Target, you scan the ISBN.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people are in the habit of scanning the ISBN and would say, nope, you gotta do the library barcode.
Yeah.
But yes, the 4-year-olds can do it, the 40-year-olds can do it, the 80-year-olds can do it. So,
My 11 and 6-year-old can do a whole lot more on their computers than I can, so. I'm just telling you.
They're digital natives. They
I
don't
know.
use this. Yeah.
Okay.
We're old digital immigrants, yeah.
but, you know, thankfully, we always have clerks at the front desk and we're always happy to check out your books for you.
Thank you.
The other thing we're testing the next 2 weeks is those 2 apps I've been telling you about. The Canopy streaming app and the Mango Languages app. So staff, we just got access to those yesterday and we're gonna be testing them over the next 2 weeks to see how everything interacts. And then if we do like those as well, then we'll go ahead and purchase those, for 2025 as well. Our app goes live in 2 weeks. I'm so excited about it. I will be emailing you the day it comes out. We got our app, go download it right now. But the, main thing that Michaela has been graciously working on is kind of our front page. So I'll be able to show it to you guys at our next meeting. Basically, we have all of these different categories customized. So we have a kids category and it shows all the new kids picture books that have come out, or that not have come out, that we have ordered, as well as, you know, chapter books, nonfiction. We have a teen one. It also will include like New York Times bestsellers and a category for what's trending in our area. So what's checking out the most in our area, which will be fun for people to see. So just part of it is giving people ideas of new things to read, whether those are new things or old things. So that's something that I'm excited about with getting the word out, and just part of the library is just somebody comes up to the front desk and they're like, what should I read next? And this is another tool to help them with that.
So with that app, Jandy, does the library staff work with all the information that's within the app or how? I'm just kind of curious.
So we are purchasing it from a company called Aspen, which is for libraries specifically. So they do a lot of the back end stuff for us. And then there's different parts of it that we can do. So it's kind of a dual thing. We're doing some and they're doing some.
Like they would have the list of New York Times bestsellers.
Yes.
You can put that plug-in into the app versus they could do a collated
Yeah.
bids for Halloween books,
Mhm.
put a list together that they collate.
Yeah.
And this would be allowing patrons to put on hold physical books.
Yes.
And check.
We can also put
Check it
in
out.
we can also put in a category that's digital materials.
And
Where
we
they-
have connect with. Libby.
Yes, so it would send them directly over to Libby. So it is very, integrated. It also integrates with our calendar, so we can put information about, oh, Halloween books, Halloween story time is this day, that sort of thing. Or, like when we did our Master Gardeners, it gives us the ability to be, you know, somebody searching for garden books. Did you know we're doing a Master Gardener series? You should come to that. If they're searching for language materials, oh, did you know we have the Mango Languages app? That sort of thing. So it's very integrated, which I like.
Well, I can see why you're excited.
Yes.
That's very cool.
Yes. Let's see. So the next thing I wanted to tell you guys about was our firefighter story time. You know, I like to talk about events. So 2 weeks ago was our firefighter story time, end of September. It was on a Wednesday morning. And I brought my kids to go to firefighter story time too. My son Bruce is obsessed with firefighters. He's almost 3. We pull up to the park. We hosted it at Town Square, where we do the farmer's market. And I'm like, oh, look, there's the fire truck. They're here. And you know, the kids get all excited and then the fire truck leaves. And I'm like, Miss Erin, was that our fire truck? And she's like, yes, they had to go to a natural gas leak. They don't think they're coming back.
Oh, no.
And we're like, it's 5 minutes to the event. There's all of these kids here. I'm like, do we just like read, like obviously me and Erin do story time. Do we just read the books ourselves? And then I think for a second and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna call Chief. Oh, Chief Simmons at the police department. So I call him on his cell phone and I tell him what happened and I'm like, we're supposed to be doing firefighter story time. I have all these kids here. Do you have an officer that could come read to them? And he says, yes. Officer Mike is sitting right next to me. I will send him your way.
He was glad he was sitting next to him.
I don't know if he was wrong place. So Officer Mike comes right down to the park and he gets out of his car and I'm talking to him, thank you so much for coming. And he's like, oh, no problem. I'm happy to read to the kids. Where's my books? And I show him, I'm like, look, we have firefighter books. And he's like, well, you know how much I love firefighters. He did a phenomenal job.
That's great.
We've had, a couple different, guest readers for story time and, people have different comfort levels with reading in front of kids. Officer Mark was phenomenal. We had this book on firefighters that, talked about all of their gear, talk about what they do for their job. And he would read the page, he'd show the kids the pictures, and then he would sit and talk to the kids. So he gave them all of these extra little tidbits about, sleeping at the fire station and cooking their meals and different things about their gear and what they wear. He added in all of these little anecdotes and helpful things. He did a phenomenal job. So he read 2 books to them. We did a song together and then he was he did a little Q&A with the kids at the end where he showed them, different things on his gear, like his different handcuffs. He talked to them about what he's wearing and all that kind of stuff. And the kids were able to ask him questions, talked about safety, police officers are there to help you. He did a phenomenal job. So we're like, yay, Officer Mike, you're amazing. He walks back to his car. The fire truck pulled into the parking lot. The firefighters joke out, so sorry we're late. We had to go, do our thing. And we're like, well, we already read our stories. Can we come over, the kids were in a different area of the park. And I said, can we come over to the parking lot and you can show them all about your truck? And so we walked all the kids over there. They had one of the firefighters was just, in his plain blue clothes that they wear. They put on all of their gear. They talked about each item that they were wearing, their boots, their pants, their coats, their oxygen, everything. They talked all about their gear. They walked the kids around the truck to show them, where the hoses are and that sort of thing. The firefighter crawled on the ground and each of the kids got to give him a high five and stuff. And then they got to get into the truck and take pictures. So we ended up with we had a long story time all about police officers and firefighters. It was phenomenal. So yes, it was bad there for a second and then couldn't have gone any better.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's great.
So we've been very excited about that.
Oh, that's awesome. What a great community we have here.
Yeah. So I'm trying to think of what else I had on my notes to tell you guys. We have Halloween story time at the end of Halloween party on October 24th, Monsters Inc. themed. And our numbers are looking really good for this month. We're up about 400 on most things. So we were around 4,500 for a lot of things. We're up to 4,900 or whatever. We're up a quarter, I would say. So our numbers are looking really good. And I'm interested to see what they're going to be for the end of the year. So that's pretty much everything I had.
That's it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tammy, what's going on with, I know earlier in the year, the flooding at Post Falls, and we thought we'd see an uptick. And is that library open again yet? What is it?
So they are, they're open in the lobby. Basically, there's a room of the library that's open for holds pickup and light browsing. So we are still getting patrons to the library that want to be able to use the whole library. So we're still seeing more families. We're just seeing, I would say, a little bit less holds than we were because they're able to go there and pick up their holds. So I would say where we were up 100% or whatever, I'd say we're at half now. So still a good chunk.
Yeah.
of them. I want to say, I think that's their goal to be open in December or beginning of next year, but I have to double check on
Yeah,
that.
I mean, it's a lot of work and
Yes.
replacing books and cataloging and redoing them all.
Yes.
That was great. That was. Okay, thank you, Jandy. All right, so I love stories like that. Those are great. And, Donna, you are right. We have a great community and those our police department and fire department are always willing to jump in. And help out in whatever way they're asked. So that's great. All right, so under business, we have library project update, and we got a lot of it from Mark already. Do you have anything else for us, Jandy?
I don't know that I have much to add, then curious of who will be able to zoom in to listen to our action item on next Tuesday, if any of you guys are planning to zoom in for it.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Okay.
We're the action item and it's a big agenda, so I would guess it's like around 9 PM probably, but I'm happy to text anyone that wants to zoom in and listen to the
Yeah,
discussion.
So,
I'll be there.
Okay.
yeah, I'm gonna try to be there.
Mhm.
The action item, is there a discussion or before the action is actually taken, Mark, or like?
Yes,
So it'll be, so this is on the general business agenda. So what typically happens is that, the mayor pro tem makes a motion, it's seconded, and then it's open for discussion, and then that's when the discussion ensues. And I expect for it to be a lengthy discussion, on that particular item, so.
yeah, so, me and Mark will be there as well as Kim to answer questions, and Jonathan, our project manager, will be on the line to answer questions, and Kyle and Lisa, so we'll have everybody there to hopefully get answer everyone's questions.
Okay. All right, so now we're on to our last item, and that's, action items, and,
So let me pull it up.
library waiver of things.
Yes, so I sent you the library waiver on Monday. And then Sean got back to me later in the day on Monday with his one edit, a single word. I wanted to make sure that everyone was aware though. So it's down here on the end of the paragraph. In our initial, in the draft I sent you, it said lost of use. And it's supposed to be loss of use. So that is the one edit that he had for the waiver. So if we can get a motion to approve it with the one correction.
Yeah, does anybody have any other?
No,
Comments?
I reviewed it pretty extensively also
Okay.
after our last meeting and readjusting, like, how are we gonna use it? What are we gonna, like, is this for other libraries coming in? So once we got that set, I did a thorough review, totally missed the lost use.
Oh.
Well, and Shauna, that last sentence on, I understand that I am giving up substantial rights by signing it. That sounds so like, that's scary.
This one was based on, I think, the Coeur d'Alene.
It's like, whoa,
Coeur d'Alene
I wanna
and Spokane County Library District.
just
Yeah.
wanna I just wanna borrow.
Rent a puzzle?
Borrow a puzzle.
Okay, then you're not giving up that much.
Yes.
But if you're renting a chainsaw.
Yes.
I don't think it's a bad idea to be overly cautious
Okay.
in the language.
Just like-
It really is, I think, meant to be like, pay attention to what you're borrowing, what you're using, how you're
Yeah.
using
And
it.
how you're using it.
Yeah, so I think having, some stronger language, that's assuming anyone even reads it before signing it. But that would be an interesting thing to track.
Yeah,
But our plan, in talking with Michaela and Georgia, our plan would be to put this with our library card application for new patrons. So when you sign up for the library card, you have your
Good idea.
library card application, and then on the back, we'll have the library of things agreement.
That's a good.
That's a great idea.
So,
And then for people who already have library cards, when they go to check out a puzzle or whatever.
Bill.
yes,
soft,
then they'll sign.
Will something come up in their account that they haven't signed that waiver?
Yes, so we have it, it's a red and green box underneath their name that says Library of Things. So if it's red, they haven't signed it. If it's green, they have. So it's brightly colored for staff.
Perfect.
Okay, so this has been under review for a while, so do I have a motion to approve the library waiver things document?
I move to approve the Library of Things waiver.
I second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye. Okay.
Yay, done.
Yay.
Got it. We did it.
We have a policy.
Now we can check out puzzle and chainsaws.
All right,
We even have anything for it yet?
We have puzzles, we have games, we have some early learning kits, we have a ukulele, we have a electronic drum set, small, and we have a projector, like outdoor movie projector, but it's like this big.
Yeah.
So those are our main items that we have.
no skill saws,
No, not at the moment.
no drums, no hammers.
It was interesting though, I had shared something about, I had shared on the Facebook page that we had been, or been recommended for the grant. And, there was some comments underneath it, and we got a thread going on the Library of Things, and people were mentioning different items that they wanted for it. Most of them were baking, cooking related, like,
Makes
So-
sense.
So I have a couple of bins of like fun and interesting cake pans that if we want to start a collection, I
here's
can donate.
that's great. Yes, people were just talking about like, I don't want to take up my kitchen with another appliance. So wouldn't it be nice for this appliance that I only use at Thanksgiving if I could just rent it?
Yeah,
So
it was
people are thinking about it.
appliances.
yeah, good.
Yeah, it was
Like-
appliances and cooking related, cake pans,
Yeah,
like,
Cookie
cupcake
cutters or
tins.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Was it on the Facebook thread?
yes,
I'll take a look at that and see if I have any too. Cause I have giant bins of cake pans, cause that was a hobby of mine a long time ago. And they're just sitting there.
Okay, well, it's not on our agenda, but we usually do ask for any more citizen comments at the end. Do you have anybody on that might be?
and then I have one more thing after that. It's not on your
It's not on
list.
the
If we have anyone in chambers or who are on Zoom who would like to make a citizen comment, please raise your hand and I will call on you. Okay.
We have one, right?
Oh, sorry, I didn't look at you. I was looking at,
Yeah. Would you mind stepping up to I don't know if the mic is even on there, but
Batteries
just,
are gone. Mark Sullivan, just with the discussion earlier about the self-checkout and the library building.
There we go. Thank you.
With the mention earlier about, self-checkout and thing, crossing that with the library of things. I was wondering whether the self-checkout is set up such that if somebody brings a library of things item, will it force them to go to a librarian to ensure that they've signed a waiver?
not currently, so that was on our troubleshooting list this morning. Currently, because the self-check is right next to the front desk, visually, you can see and make that change. But that's something we want to make sure that and address with the self-check unit, just in case, somebody isn't watching. But also just in the new library, if we were to have self-checks in areas where there isn't staff, that would be an issue. So it's something we need to figure out exactly how it would work.
All right, that was it. Just crossed my mind that
Yeah.
it was related.
It's a good question. I hadn't thought of that one. Good one.
Excel sheet just for our.
Mhm.
Okay, you had one other thing.
Yes, I had meant to do this in my update and I forgot. So, we have an opening on the library board of trustees. We're planning to keep the application open through Sunday evening. And then next week is when we will be looking to do review applications and schedule interviews. I don't envision we'll be scheduling interviews for next week, but sometime later this month. And we need a board of trustees member who's willing to sit in on those interviews. Currently, we have 3 applications. Is someone available? Just the idea being that you'll go to all 3 of the interviews
Yeah.
so that we
I
have
can
around
do that.
vision.
I'm probably the least busy. I'm not coaching or.
You're hired.
Great, thank you, Kim.
I just sit at home with my old dog and
Yeah.
read.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Kim, for volunteering to do that. Thank you.
As a reminder to the public and everyone, what we normally do is we will do an interview with the mayor, myself, and the library board of trustees member. And then the mayor makes a recommendation to the council, recommended by the mayor, confirmed by the council. So that's our process.
That's the process.
Yes.
All right, thank you, Jandy. Any other comments? All right, I'll take a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'm a second.
Okay, all right, all in favor?
I
We're done. Thank you.